A family of 4 left their driveway just after sunset. They told no one they were in danger. They never asked for help. They never made the next turn. Hours passed before anyone noticed something was wrong. By then, the road had already swallowed their answers. Their car was found days later, sitting quietly off a rural highway. No skid marks nearby. No broken glass scattered across the asphalt. No signs of impact or urgency. The engine was cold. The interior was intact. It looked like they simply stepped away. Phones were gone, yet wallets remained untouched. Luggage stayed packed, folded neatly in the trunk. Children's shoes rested on the floor, placed, not thrown. Nothing inside suggested panic, fear, or escape. Nothing explained why 4 people vanished together. The highway stretched endlessly in both directions. No nearby buildings, no streetlights, no witnesses who remembered seeing anything unusual. Just darkness, wind, and a road that never talks. Police searched ditches, fields, and tree lines. Dogs followed scents that faded without warning. Helicopters traced patterns that led nowhere. Each hour passed, stripped away certainty. The timeline refused to behave. Sightings contradicted one another. Tips arrived too late or far apart. Every answer created 2 more questions. At home, routines froze in place. Beds remained unmade. Voicemails were never deleted. Hope survived in quiet, fragile ways. Investigators reviewed the scene again and again. They asked why the doors were locked. They asked who took the keys. They asked how an entire family disappears without sound. Some believe the road holds the truth. Others believe the truth left with them. What everyone agrees on is this: something happened in that darkness, and whatever it was, it didn't leave a clear trail behind. Listen closely. The silence is still there, and decide for yourself what you think happened. They were the kind of family people trusted without hesitation. The parents planned carefully, double-checking routes, packing lists, and weather forecasts. They believed preparation could smooth away most dangers. Seatbelts clicked, headlights came on, habits performed without thought. The children filled the back seat with quiet excitement. One watched passing signs like milestones towards something promised. The other fought sleep, clutching a pillow already warm from home. Neither sensed anything wrong with the night ahead. This trip had been discussed for weeks. A short vacation, a long-awaited visit, nothing urgent or risky. They had driven this route before, or at least something like it. Highways always felt safer than they deserved. The road stretched outward, thinning as towns slipped behind them. Gas stations became rare landmarks instead of guarantees. Street lights faded, replaced by stars blurred through the windshield. Cell service weakened, bar by bar, until phones became useless objects. Inside the car, conversations softened. Music played low, chosen to keep everyone calm and awake. The hum of tires filled the pauses between sentences. Everything felt steady, controlled, reassuring. Outside, the landscape offered little comfort. Fields opened wide, dark and unbroken. Tree lines gathered closer to the road, pressing inward. Signs appeared less often, then stopped entirely. The parents noticed the quiet, but didn't comment. Silence on long drives often meant peace. The children shifted, sighed, and settled deeper into their seats. The car continued forward, faithful to the painted lines. Somewhere along this stretch, the air changed. Not sharply, not dramatically, just enough to feel unfamiliar. The radio crackled once, then returned to normal. The road ahead appeared emptier than it should have been. Locals later said this road had a reputation. Stories shared casually, always after something went wrong. Breakdowns that felt strange. Directions that led people farther than expected. But the family didn't know that. They saw only pavement and darkness. They trusted the map and the motion. They kept driving, unaware the routine had already begun to slip. The GPS spoke softly, then changed its mind. A new route appeared without warning or explanation. The parent driving frowned, then adjusted the wheel slightly. Technology makes mistakes, they said, trying to sound certain. The radio hissed suddenly, swallowing the music mid-note. Static filled the car like a breath held too long. Then the song returned, warped, slower, unfamiliar. No one laughed about it. One child leaned closer to the window. They asked if anyone else saw that. A shape near the trees keeping pace for seconds. By the time the car slowed, it was gone. The parents exchanged a glance and kept driving. Eyes forward, hands steady, voices calm by design. Long trips make shadows play tricks, they explained gently. The explanation settled, but unease did not. The GPS rerouted again, this time more insistently. The road narrowed, losing its center line. Music sounded distant, as if underwater. Wind pressed harder against the doors. Cell phones were checked without comment. No bars. No emergency signal. Just dark screens reflecting worried faces. The gas gauge dipped lower than expected, too quickly for comfort. The driver adjusted speed, calculating silently. The other parent watched the road signs for reassurance. There were none. Not for miles, not even warnings, just asphalt stretching forward without context. The children stopped talking entirely. No questions, no complaints, only watching, listening, waiting. Headlights strained against the trees ahead. Shadows moved where light should have ended them. Branches bent inward, framing the road like a corridor. The car felt smaller with every mile. Then they passed a familiar object, an abandoned mailbox leaning at an awkward angle, paint peeling, numbers barely visible. No one mentioned it out loud. Minutes later, they passed it again. Same tilt, same damage, same place it should not have been. The driver slowed, heart audible in the quiet. The GPS recalculated, then went blank. Wind brushed the car like fingers testing locks. The road ahead looked exactly like the road behind. That's when they realized something was wrong. They weren't moving toward anywhere new. They weren't getting closer to safety. They weren't moving forward anymore. The engine coughed once, then shuddered. Lights flickered inside the car. The hum of tires on asphalt vanished as if swallowed. The parent gripping the wheel muttered, "Stay calm, stay calm." A soft tap echoed somewhere near the back. Metal, not wood. Rhythmic, slow, intentional. The children froze, clutching each other, whispering questions no one could answer. The other parent scanned the tree line. Shadows clung to the trees like smoke. Something moved just at the edge of the headlights. It shifted, elongated, vanished. Nothing anyone could fully describe, yet it was undeniably there. The wind that had been gentle now pressed against the car with insistence. Branches scraped the roof in irregular rhythms. The radio tried to play a song, but the distortion made it unrecognizable. Every sound felt amplified, drawn from everywhere and nowhere at once. Whispers rose in the back seat, almost prayers. "Mom, Dad, who's there?" The driver swallowed hard, knuckles white on the wheel. "Probably a deer," one parent muttered. "Probably," repeated the other, but the word had no weight. Another tap, louder this time, resonated against the metal side door. The children flinched, one pressing a hand to their mouth to quiet a scream. The parent in the passenger seat leaned forward, trying to peer into the darkness. Shapes in the trees twitched and merged with shadows. The car seemed suddenly too small, too vulnerable, too exposed. Even the lights from within felt weak against whatever waited just beyond. A sudden knock, sharper, deliberate, rang out against the hood. The father jerked, gripping the wheel tighter. The mother whispered for them to stay calm, voice barely audible over the low, pulsing music that had begun to rise. Something shifted outside. A pause, then a long silence. Then someone tried the door handle. Slow, careful, patient. The metal clicked under pressure. And for the first time, everyone inside realized the road was no longer empty. It was watching. The handle rattled once, then again, faint but unmistakable. The father's hand froze on the wheel. The mother leaned closer, voice low. "Don't open it. Don't." The door swung slightly, then stopped. A shadow moved inside the gap, too large to ignore. The children screamed softly, clutching each other, voices small in the tense air. The car rocked, almost imperceptibly, as if something brushed against it. Then the dash lights flickered. 1, 2, 3. Each flicker left the interior darker than the last. Headlights dimmed, stuttered, and went out entirely. Music swelled, louder than before, then collapsed into an emptiness that pressed against the ears. The low hum of the tires vanished. Wind and branches, everything, fell silent for a heartbeat. Footsteps appeared around the vehicle, slow, heavy, unsteady. Breathing, impossible to tell whose, mingled with the scrape of shoes against gravel. The children trembled, whispering prayers that no one answered. A flashlight beam swung across the windshield. It illuminated only fragments, a hand, a figure, then gone again. Shadows clung to the car like liquid, filling every corner of vision. The door rattled violently, trying to force itself open. The parents moved in unison, one shielding, one gripping the wheel. Panic began to seep into their muscles, yet their voices remained quiet, controlled, careful. The world outside had become something else entirely. Then the sudden jolt. Metal screamed under pressure. The car lurched, rocking on invisible axes. The dashcam cut off mid-frame, taking the last evidence of motion and sound with it. Breathing came fast and shallow. A flash of light illuminated faces frozen in disbelief. Then silence, complete, absolute. Days later, police found the car, doors wide open, waiting, seats upright, seatbelts unused though still fastened, belongings untouched as if the family had simply stepped away. The interior told contradictory stories, cupboards knocked over, yet dishes untouched, crumbs scattered, yet half-eaten sandwiches remained. Blood, faint and smeared, traced no path, no footprints, no tire tracks, no signs of struggle. Flashlights pierced the darkness outside the vehicle. Cameras captured every angle, yet the images only deepened the questions. The road behind it was empty. The fields beside it remained undisturbed. No witnesses came forward. Every official report ended with the same line: unknown. Questions multiplied, answers vanished. The family's disappearance was total, absolute, undeniable. How does an entire family vanish without a trace? What waits in the dark between certainty and reason? And when you drive along empty roads at night, Do you trust the headlights or the shadows beyond them? Some say human hands were involved, hidden, careful, deliberate. Others whisper of something unseen, ancient, patient, waiting. And then there are those who claim the road itself is cursed, pulling travelers into folds of space that shouldn't exist. Locals tell of similar vanishings, vehicles left abandoned, families gone. No patterns explain it, yet the road keeps repeating its secrets. Every report ends the same, unresolved, unanswerable, permanent. Questions linger in the mind long after the lights come back on. Did the family leave willingly, or were they taken? Was it a presence, human or otherwise, or just the road twisting reality? No one knows. No one has ever returned to say. The air grows heavy. Whispers rise faintly beneath the drone, almost voices, almost wind. Listen closely and you might hear them, or maybe it's just the memory of what vanished. This isn't the only family lost along lonely stretches of asphalt. Next time, we'll explore another disappearance, one that has haunted locals for decades, never solved, never explained. If this story unsettled you, share your theory in the comments. Tell someone, argue, imagine, because the road remembers. Subscribe, because some roads hide more than darkness. The music fades slowly, leaving only a distant echo. A final whisper drifts past, unanswered, as if the night itself is still watching.